this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
The thing about AI for business, it may not automatically fit the way your business works. At IBM, we've seen this firsthand. But by embedding AI across HR, IT, and procurement processes, we've reduced costs by millions, slashed repetitive tasks, and freed thousands of hours for strategic work. Now we're helping companies get smarter by putting AI where it actually pays off, deep in the work that moves the business. Let's create smarter business. IBM.
My name is Jessa. One of the things I love the most about working for United Healthcare is that everybody matters. Every moment matters. There's a person behind every problem. I care because it's what I was put on this earth to do.
I'm Ben, and I work at United Healthcare. I am just one piece of a larger puzzle, but every piece matters. It's more than just work. We want to make the healthcare system better for everyone. I care because I want to make a difference. That's what committed to care means to me.
This is Sarah Spain from Good Game with Sarah Spain, brought to you in part by Vital Farms. Let me tell you why Vital Farms pasture-raised eggs are the only eggs I have in my fridge. The hens. They're living the good life. Fresh air, sunshine, and wide-open pastures. I use my Vital Farms for my famous frittatas. And you could trace your eggs back to the farm they came from. Check the carton for the farm name, pop it into vitalfarms.com/farm, and boom, you're looking at the pasture. So next time you're in the store, look for the black carton in the egg aisle and visit vitalfarms.com to learn more. Vital Farms. Good eggs. No shortcuts.
Pushkin. In early September 2025, a handful of Brazilian government officials headed to North Dakota on a mission. It was a technical mission. They were there to see a shiny new green technology in action. The idea behind this new technology was simple. When you turn corn into ethanol, it generates carbon dioxide. And that's a problem if you're trying to be a green fuel. But now, people from Iowa to North Dakota were capturing that carbon dioxide, storing it, and selling it. Never mind that they were selling it to people who would inject it underground to get more oil out. Some of it would surely still stay underground, and if you tilted your head and squinted a bit, that made it a climate solution. The American company selling the Brazilians on this idea had a lot riding on these officials believing that carbon capture connected to ethanol was a great green success story. Win-win for industry and the environment. An American dream they could take home to Brazil. But had the visiting bureaucrats scanned the local newspapers, they might have found a different story.
If you live in Iowa, your land, your water, and your voice could all be at risk thanks to a man named Bruce Rastetter.
Essentially paying him to capture CO2 at ethanol plants and then shipping it across private land and public land and then disposing of it somewhere many states away.
On September 2nd, the Brazilian contingent met with an Iowa company called Summit Carbon Solutions. Summit has been trying for years to build a carbon capture pipeline to connect dozens of ethanol plants from Iowa to North Dakota. It's called the Midwest Carbon Express Project. Harold Hamm, who controls many of North Dakota's oil fields and is an energy advisor to President Trump, is a major investor in the company. Bruce Rastetter is the company's co-founder. He's also founder and executive chairman of its parent company, Summit Agricultural Group. For all their cheerleading of the project to visitors, the Summit pipeline is years behind schedule and facing multiple political and legal roadblocks. In fact, it's managed to do what almost no politician, issue, or campaign has been able to do in the U.S. for years: united far-left and far-right populists. People from both sides hate this pipeline. For Rastetter, it's not the first time he's faced opposition, especially in his home state of Iowa.
Anyone who remotely follows politics or agriculture, you say Rastetter, you're going to get a response.
Jess Mazur is the conservation coordinator for the Sierra Club Iowa. For Jess, the carbon pipeline was not the first time she'd dealt with Bruce Rastetter.
They know who it is, and they go, oh, that guy did this, or that guy put a factory farm near my house, or he's the one that, got Iowa State in trouble. So I think everyone's got an opinion of him, and he's really, really good at being able to avoid ever having to be in the public. He doesn't get interviewed. He doesn't take media requests. Kind of secretive. He lives out in the middle of nowhere in Hardin County, Iowa.
Rastetter got his start as a big hog farmer. From there, it wasn't a big leap to growing corn. And then, like a lot of corn growers, that led quickly to getting into the corn ethanol business. As a longtime climate reporter, I keep waiting for people to stop calling corn ethanol green. Its carbon footprint is similar to regular oil gas. It requires around 30 times as much land as solar, plus lots of water and chemical pesticides and fertilizers. But industrial agriculture gets loads of subsidies from it, so they're always finding a way to keep it alive. And in 2022, Congress handed it its latest lifeline.
The Inflation Reduction Act contains some really incredible things for our shareholders. It contains sustainable aviation fuel. We think that's an incredible part of decarbonizing the planet.
The Inflation Reduction Act, Biden's big climate policy, created a whole new revenue stream for the corn ethanol guys. Now they could sell to airlines, but only if they embraced carbon capture. Bruce Rastetter to the rescue.
So I think without continuing to attain new markets, the ethanol industry is in jeopardy. So that's what lowering carbon scores, this project on the pipeline, is about, with 34 ethanol plants across the upper Midwest, but in particular Iowa.
Summit Carbon Solutions still talks about the project today as a way to open up new markets for Iowa corn farmers. So the company was caught off guard when people across multiple states began organizing against the Midwest Carbon Express. And it quickly became a big problem because Rastetter was not just the ethanol kingpin of Iowa. His company was also the majority owner of a Brazilian ag company, FS Fueling Sustainability. And he'd helped to make corn ethanol a thing in Brazil, too. Now Summit is trying to make carbon capture happen there, too. Welcome to Drilled Season 15, Carbon Cowboys. I'm Amy Westervelt, and this season we've partnered with the amazing reporters at The Intercept Brazil to learn more about what Rastetter is doing down there.
I'm Felipe Sabrina with The Intercept Brazil. I will be hosting the Portuguese version of the season over on the Intercept Brazil feed. This is a story about how the ethanol kingpin of Iowa became the king of corn in Brazil.
And how a bunch of ideas that are great for the oil and ag industries got rebranded as climate solutions and created a carbon gold rush.
Tem uma galinha gigante, tem porco gigante. Você já viu isso?
A few months ago, Felipe started telling me about this giant pig statue that greets people near Bruce Rastetter's home base in Brazil. Because yes, his partners in Brazil also started out as pig farmers. These guys are all still in the pig business, and boy, do they love pigs. When Felipe sent me a picture of this pig statue, I was kind of shook. If you're imagining some sort of tasteful bronze statue, think again. This is a massive, porky pig-looking thing wearing lederhosen and a bright green hat holding a corn cob.
And it even has a name, Luquinha, or Little Lucas, because the town is called Lucas do Rio Verde. It tells you actually a lot about this place. It was proposed by one of the largest landowners in the area, big agriculture business guy. He comes from a German family, which is why the pig is wearing a German outfit. Around 50 years ago, the Brazilian agriculture industry came to this place looking for a cheap and easy land grab. Today, the American agriculture industry is doing the same thing.
Você está em Lucas do Rio Verde, a cidade de oportunidades. Aqui, a geração de empregos e a qualidade de vida se encontram.
This audio you're listening to with the epic background music is from a promotional video by the Lucas do Rio Verde city government, highlighting the wonders of the city. The video mixes images of macaws, forests in the sunset, and large cotton, soybean, and corn fields. The city government wants you to know that Lucas is the city of opportunities. It has more than 95,000 inhabitants and produces more than 2 million tons of grain per year. The narrator of the video says, "We are one of the fastest growing cities in Brazil." And then the screen fills with a mix of smiling children, crops, and grain pouring out of machines. Lucas do Rio Verde is all money, growth, and seas of corn and soybeans as far as the eye can see.
The first time I visited, it shocked me to see massive crops right next to people's homes. But the more I learned about Lucas, the more it made sense. The town is a fiction, designed and built by the government to impose development on this region. Lucas was entirely created to serve agriculture and its owners. The wide avenues are lined with silos, agricultural machinery stores, supply stores, credit banks, and real estate agencies. Trucks over 20 meters long, loaded with soybeans or corn, have plenty of space to drive around or park on the curb. Walking in Lucas, on the other hand, is a challenge because of the distances between the long avenues, the heat, and the lack of trees to provide shade. The city is obsessed with imperial palm trees. There are hundreds of them in the town center and on the sides of the roads. With nothing but monoculture crops and imported palm trees, there is no vegetation in the area to insulate it from extreme temperature changes. Lucas can go from freezing cold to unbelievably hot from one moment to the next. It was weird for me, but the people I spoke with here didn't seem to mind. The image of abundant harvests has drawn people from all over the country to Lucas.
My husband was unemployed for 2 years. Then we saw reports about the city, which is a very good place to live, to raise children, even in terms of violence. So we packed our bags.
Isabella is from Minas Gerais, a Brazilian state southeast of Lucas. But since 2021, she's been living here with her husband and children. She sells acai bowls in front of the parking lot of a multinational grain company. Acai is a fruit typical of the Amazon. Isabella buys it from suppliers and sells it to truck drivers who load and unload grain here. She passes small bowls of acai cream through the fence, and the truckers pass back cash. Isabella said Lucas is great, not least because when she needs to take her kids to a public hospital, she never waits more than an hour to be seen.
Here in the city, I don't think anyone can complain about healthcare.
She says the Lucas do Rio Verde Hospital São Lucas, in particular, is especially nice. It's run today by a partnership between the city and agribusiness entrepreneurs.
Now they've opened a really nice ward there too. The whole hospital has been renovated.
A partir da doação de 5 milhões de reais, o Hospital São Lucas contará com uma nova ala, a do Centro Materno-Infantil. O espaço vai proporcionar assistência integral para as mães e recém-nascidos.
In fact, the new maternity ward at the São Lucas Hospital has a promotional video too. And a few seconds into it, listeners might recognize a not-so-Brazilian-sounding name.
Receberam o nome do doador, o norte-americano Bruce Rastetter.
Bruce Rastetter, the ethanol kingpin of Iowa. He wields a lot of power there, but outside the state, he's not exactly a household name. Now suddenly a new wing in the hospital in this Brazilian farm town was being named after this guy? How did that happen?
The hospital canceled my tour just before I arrived. So our producer Marcia Reverdoz and I just showed up to see what we could see. We talked to a hospital worker in the hallway.
ala Bruce. Tipo, a minha namorada no mês atrasado, eu pensei que ala Bruce. Com o médico lá de Ohio. Em homenagem a ele, essa
It's a little hard to hear there because Felipe and Marcia were trying to tape with their phone. And of course, she's speaking in Portuguese too. But when they asked her about the name of the ward, the Bruce Rastetter wing, she said it was named after Bruce, a doctor from Ohio. We're still not sure where she got that idea. But funding big public projects, especially around hospitals and healthcare, is really common in Brazil. You just heard how, when telling Felipe about what she likes about Lucas, Isabella mentioned healthcare. People think of hospitals as an example of how nice a city is or how well it's working. So if Lucas has a good hospital, no one can say that the politicians or the businessmen running things here are bad. That goes double for anything that's focused on women and children. So a maternity ward checks a lot of boxes. And then we found out that the hospital is run by a foundation led by one of Rastetter's Brazilian business partners, Marino Franz. Marino's brother Paulo was the one that proposed that giant pig statue that looks out over Lucas. And to understand how Rastetter, the American farmer, ended up with a Brazilian rural maternity ward named after him, we had to figure out how the Franz brothers fit into it and what brought Bruce to Brazil in the first place. That's coming up after the break.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
I'm Spencer, and I work at United Healthcare.
So, Spencer, why do you care?
I care because my daughter, Adeline, has special needs. I am motivated by Adeline, who inspires me every day. I am driven to help families like mine navigate the healthcare system. I'm so blessed to lead an amazing team at United Healthcare focusing on the member experience and making that better. I'm Spencer, and I'm committed to care.
Hey everyone, it's Cal Penn. I'm the host of Earsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club. This week on the podcast, I am sitting down with Ray Porter, the narrator of Andy Weir's audiobook Project Hail Mary, massive sci-fi adventure about survival and science and what happens when you wake up alone very far from Earth.
I really had to make a decision because I caught myself getting that frog in my throat and starting to get teary as I'm narrating some of these sections. And it's like, okay, is this indulgent? And I really thought about it. I was like, no, at this point, it would kind of be betraying the trust the author and the listener have in telling this story if I don't go through it. But there's places in this book that deeply emotionally affected me, and I left it on the mic.
That's great.
Because it served the story. People will say like, oh my God, I cried at the end. It's like, yeah, dude, me too.
Listen to Earsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Lucas do Rio Verde is in the Brazilian state of Mato Grosso, a state that is almost exactly half agriculture and half Amazon rainforest. It used to be even more Amazon. For decades, the state was considered the frontier in Brazil. The forests were preserved, and it was home to even more indigenous people than it is today. But in the 1960s and 1970s, Brazil's military government deployed a new strategy. It was called the National Integration Plan. And the idea was to eliminate indigenous communities that were seen as anti-development and integrate the North and Midwest of Brazil into the national economy.
A revolução chega à selva. Cada árvore que tomba escreve uma história bem diferente das que povoavam a terra do Saci-Pererê.
This propaganda film from the 70s celebrates the, quote, revolution reaching the jungle, toppling trees in favor of roads. The goal was to develop the Amazon by building infrastructure in the wilderness, displacing indigenous residents, and encouraging people from outside the region to move there, to be pioneers and go to this frontier and tame it. The main farm towns in Mato Grosso today were deliberate colonization projects, many of them built and funded by the Brazilian government. The government offered people plots of land, housing, and sometimes even credit to move there. They even funded research to figure out how crops like soybeans and cotton could be grown in the tropical climate there. That's what brought the Franz brothers there decades ago. And according to Paulo, it's the Franz brothers who brought Bruce to the area. In Paulo's telling, it all happened because of an internship he did in Iowa and an important contact he made there. Here he is talking about it on a Brazilian podcast.
Assisti jogos de futebol juntos, a gente se vê quase cada ano. O nome desse senhor é Terry Branstad.
Terry Branstad, the governor of Iowa at the time, and eventually U.S. ambassador to China during Trump's first presidency. Paulo says they all went to soccer games together a lot. Paulo says it was Branstad who introduced him to Bruce Rastetter.
O Bruce, que é o CEO da empresa, o fundador.
Bruce is the CEO of the company, the founder. He has a huge passion for pigs and has been involved with pigs his whole life. He was a pig farmer until he started getting into ethanol, which is a very recent thing. I don't know whether, just to clarify, Americans produce more ethanol from corn than we do from sugarcane. There, the philosophy, the culture, is producing ethanol from corn. So as president, I met with this Terry Branstad, who is the governor of Iowa. We met and he wanted to buy some land here in Brazil.
Bruce doesn't mention any of this when he's asked about how he wound up in Brazil. Here's how he talked about it on a farming podcast a couple of years ago.
So when we sold Hawkeye to Koch Industries,
that was one of his ethanol companies.
That freed me up for the first time to do other things outside of being responsible for a larger company, and started traveling to Brazil.
This is how Bruce talks about it in other interviews too. He was interested in Brazil because it's the main agricultural competitor to the US, or because other US companies had done well there, etc., etc. It was when we were trying to verify Bruce and Paulo's differing versions of this story that our Brazil editor, Alice de Souza, found a guy with yet another version.
Is this pro-ethanol? Are you tree huggers? Are you looking at this from a negative standpoint? Or are you looking at it from a neutral standpoint? I don't mind being neutral. I can be critical of this too.
Yeah.
But because clients of mine have invested in upwards of $1 billion now in Mato Grosso, I don't want to fuck this up.
That's Corey Melby, an agriculture consultant in Brazil.
I came from Northwest Minnesota developing land. So, of course, when in the early 2000s, when Mato Grosso and all of this soybean expansion was taking place, I was going to be the land guy for a group from some of the first guys I went down with. You're going to be here, Corey, pick up the language, pick up the contacts. You can be the real estate guy. So that's where I started, was from that perspective.
Full disclosure, we paid Corey Melby to be a fixer for us on the ground in Mato Grosso. The idea was that he would take us around and ideally arrange a meeting with the brothers Franz at their farm. None of that ended up panning out, but he did talk to Felipe and I, and he told us a lot about how Bruce started out in Brazil. He also added me to his newsletter list, which is a wealth of ag knowledge about Brazil. Although it comes out so many times a week, I still have about 500 unread emails in a folder marked Corey.
So I've been on every farm in Mato Grosso. I rode the boom times and the bus and the boom times and the bus again with all my friends. So I have that 25-year arc of experience now of the good, bad, and ugly of Mato Grosso. And believe me, there's plenty of all of it.
He knows a lot about Bruce and the Franz brothers because he did for Bruce what he's done for the past 25 years for other Americans looking to get into the ag business in Mato Grosso. He toured them around looking for land.
Back in 2011, I was visiting Curitiba, and he was a young, dynamic guy. And he would say, Corey, we're looking to develop a corn oil mill processing. And investors are partner in that. We're corn oil. So I was writing about this BS in my newsletters at the time, and also visiting in Lucas de Rio Verde at the elevators at the time, talking to farmers. Oh, corn ethanol. We got to get corn ethanol here, or we're going to bury ourselves.
Because of his newsletter and his ties to various American ag folks, Corey has kind of become known as the guy to call if you're an American who wants to get a sense of Mato Grosso. So when people started talking about corn ethanol there, it was only a matter of time before he got a call from you-know-who.
Summit from Iowa, which I'm sure you are very familiar with, Bruce Rastetter and Eric and then the whole club. I get a call from Bruce's email. Hey, we would like a tour of Mato Grosso. We're going to be down there for another reason. Could we do something a la carte with you, Corey?
They didn't want to take one of Corey's pre-packaged ag tours.
Okay. So this is 2011. We do a little quick power tour. They go home. I figured, just another tour. We were looking at land. We would love to get going on some land deals.
Corey carried on, thinking nothing of it. But 6 months or so later, he got a call from some friends in Mato Grosso.
My good friend, the Franzes, they were, Corey, we want to get an ethanol mill going on here, but we need help. We need American, we need capital, et cetera, et cetera. So I was telling Bruce and the guys at the time, I've got friends out here that want to get into ethanol. FYI, guys.
According to Corey, at the time, Bruce and the guys weren't quite ready to get into the ethanol business in Brazil. They were just looking for some farmland. Then they came back for another trip, and as Corey tells it, this is when they met the Franzes.
All of a sudden, Brazilians being Brazilians, we've got a farm for sale.
Corey helped broker the deal between Bruce and the Franzes, and it kept them all talking.
3 years to close on this damn farm. But that farm purchase then opened the door with trust and capital. Hey, let's build an ethanol mill and Lucas together.
The Franz brothers had hit the big time. They were getting into business with the ethanol kingpin of Iowa. It was a whole new level, or as Corey calls it, Cycle 3.
Cycle 1 is deforestation in cattle. Cycle 2 is soy. Cycle 2.5 is soy corn, basically, the combination. Cycle 3 now gets to be what we would say industrial or added value, no different than Iowa.
For the Franz brothers, Bruce was a white whale. At a time of booming Brazilian industrial agriculture, he happened to have some free time on his hands. And now this international king of corn had picked them. What luck. But that story misses one important detail. At the time he was doing land tours in Brazil, Bruce Rastetter was having a really bad time back home in Iowa.
Since 2012, since that big land grab attempt in Africa, he has become a dirty word in Iowa.
It's just, that's what he does. It's like his business model, and whether it was in Iowa with, how he was treating Iowa farmers, or now it's globally. Yeah, he just keeps pushing his business advancement, right? It's all about his corporate profits.
Friends of friends have said that he's kind of over Iowa and more interested in Brazil, which, I suppose if I was in his shoes, if I had the choice of, being in a place where everybody hated me and a place where people fawned over me, I'd probably go to the place where people fawned over me.
That's our story next time. We reached out to Bruce Rastetter, Harold Hamm, the Franz brothers, Miguel Vaz Ribeiro, and all summit companies and Brazilian government agencies mentioned in this season for comment and have incorporated any responses we received throughout the season.
Carbon Cowboys, Cowboys of the Cerrado is a collaboration between Drilled and The Intercept Brazil.
The show was reported and written by Felipe Sabrina and me, Amy Westervelt.
Our editors are Audrey Quinn in the US and Alice de Souza in Brazil.
Our senior producer and sound designer is Martin Zaltz-Ostwick. Audio production and sound design in Brazil by Marcia Reverdosa and Felipe Mux.
Theme song and original music by Eric Terena.
Additional music by Martin Zaltz-Ostwick. Our engineer is Peter Duff.
Artwork for Drilled is by Matt Fleming.
U.S. fact-checking from Naomi Barr.
Brazil fact-checking by Estúdio Fronteira.
Our First Amendment attorney is James Wheaton with the First Amendment Project. We are also proud members of Reporters Shield. Big thanks also to Andrew Fishman, president of The Intercept Brazil.
Drilled is distributed by Pushkin Industries.
Huge thanks to the team there, including Greta Cohen, Eric Sandler, Grace Ross, Morgan Ratner, Owen Miller, Kira Posey, Jordan McMillan, Brian Schreberneck, and Jake Flanagan. To hear the Portuguese version of this series, head over to The Intercept Brazil's site or search for The Intercept Brazil's podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're chasing data down instead of seeing it in one place, you need the Intuit ERP. Intuit Enterprise Suite. All your data in one place with built-in AI for real-time insights. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
Hey everyone, it's Cal Penn. I'm inviting you to join the best-sounding book club you've ever heard with my podcast, Hearsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club. Every episode, I nerd out with amazing guests and dive into the best new audiobooks available on Audible. It's the book club for your ears. Listen to Hearsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to a podcast, so you're doing something else too, like maybe scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving places you like without thinking you'll get them. Because that's what house hunting has become. But Redfin isn't built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, which means when you find a place you love, you've got a real shot at getting it. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.